All right. So I am documenting my journey to becoming a financial advisor. It is March 24th, 2026. And I have decided to become a financial advisor. And I figured as I'm going through this, learning myself, I should probably document some of this stuff. And for those of you who either A, want to become a financial advisor, or B, want to see my journey as a financial advisor. And so let me start off by talking about the process. And if you don't know anything about financial advising, the only thing I know about financial advising going into it is I like doing finance stuff. I have videos on Tesla and stocks. I got into, buying Tesla stock back in 2013. And during COVID, I spent, well, I'd say COVID, right? Yeah, I think it's enough time has gone past where I could say that. During COVID, I got very involved in the stock market, and obviously my Tesla stock took off and made big gains there. And I invested in a bunch of other companies. None of them has done well as Tesla, but also now I do understand the concept of the 80-20 rule. You only need 20. You only need you're going to make mistakes. It's just kind of how it goes, right? And so, and I've learned a bunch from those mistakes as well, and they're good, and I'll talk about some of that on maybe some other videos. But so I didn't really know much, and really what I was responding to was an ad in Indeed. I've been doing solar for 13 years, which is crazy to say, and just trying to find a new career path now. So what attracted me to this is, as I do videos and build my I like talking about. I've read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I've read a bunch of financial books, right? Not technical books, but like just about budgeting and investing and how to become wealthy and generational wealth, and I've read a lot of information. And I've gone to seminars. I went to the T. Harv Eckert seminar for 3 days. It was 3 days. It was like 10 hours a day. It was crazy. And it was all about, psychology of, the millionaire mind. And knowing all this stuff, a couple things that I knew is that, first of all, you can't give people financial advice if you're not a financial advisor, like against the law. So I was always very careful of when I was doing my shows. So during COVID, I started doing a show, Make It Make Sense, right? Sense being CENTS, right? And I was just talking to people about the stock market. And I was making sure that I wasn't telling people what they should do. People would ask me, I was just explaining, here's what stocks are, here's what a company is, here's what a bond is, here's what to look for in a company, and how I invest, and how I found Tesla, and why I invest in Tesla. And so I was just doing that kind of stuff, general stuff. And people would ask me, hey, what should I do? Should I buy this? Should I get this crypto? Should I get this? And I was very clear almost always to say, I don't know. Like, I don't know your goals. I don't know how old you are. I don't know what your risk tolerance. I don't know, any of this stuff. So I can't tell you what you should do. And also, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't think legally I can tell you what to do. So I used to always say that. And, I did that for years. And I have my TikTok channel where I talk about, I walk and talk about Tesla and stocks and the things that I like to invest in and why I invest in it. So I've had more people recently in those videos, and actually people who are my close friends, who have asked me to help them with their finances. I've had 3 or 4 people ask me this stuff, and I'm just like, I don't have the ability to do that. I don't. And so so finally the universe tapped me on the head enough. And it's funny because Ivy Skidmore from way back in the day, or she's got married. It's not Skidmore anymore. She told me a long time ago, 15, 20 years ago, I should get into financial planning, financial stuff. And I just didn't want to go back to school. I think I don't want to take tests and learn things. That's also why I didn't become a stockbroker. I was like, I don't want to study for tests, right? So so I just didn't get into it, and I got into solar instead. And hindsight 2020, I wish I would have started 20 years ago. I'd probably be in a different spot now. But the what do they say? The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the second best time is today. So here we are starting and getting into it. It's kind of interesting. So what I did was I went and I applied. I just saw an ad on Indeed, and it was actually about building a sales team, sales management, and or it was a fast track to the fast track to management or leading a team or something like that. And so that piqued my interest, and then I looked into it a little bit more, and obviously in any sales, if you're going to be a sales manager or in management, anything, you have to obviously um, I'm trying to pull it up right now, be able to sell in order to manage other people to sell. One of the reasons why I left the position that I got a job as a sales manager, and I did the sales job for a company, real local company, the job that they wanted me to do for like a month. And I was like, this job is awful. And I don't want to manage people to do a job that I don't like doing myself. So obviously I left, right? So I'm trying to find I bet you I have like my applied jobs. So this ad appealed to me for New York Life, and I applied, and I should have knew something that was up, but I should have knew it was more of a recruiting business than more of a get hired type of job business. And because I've been in that business before, that's what I did with Cutco and Vector, Cutco Cutlery and Vector, which I did for a very long time, from college all the way till 2012. So because I applied and somebody reached out to me, and then somebody else reached out to me from the same organization. And somebody like tried to send me a message directly, and so I went with the first person who contacted me, and she's my sponsor, and she brought me. She was like, "Okay, here's the interview process." And we had a one-on-one. Didn't tell me much, but said, "Hey, just got to know me, asked me questions." Said, "Okay, look, here's what I do." It was maybe a 15-minute Zoom call, and then she said, "All right, well, why don't we have you come down?" And I did this yesterday for to meet with someone for an interview. And then she said, "No, it is going to be a group interview, and they're basically just going to go over the compensation." And I was like, "Okay, sounds good." So I went down, and she was like, dress for success, and get have a suit on and whatnot. So I got my suit. My suit, by the way, I need new suits. My suits are like old. So I was feeling a little self-conscious about my suit as I came in there, and then so I sat down, and so there was when I got there was like 6 people, and I got there. I was asked by Donna to get there 10 minutes early so she could show me around the place. Now the place is huge. New York Life is it's huge. They've got like 3 buildings, and they manage a lot of assets, and they're not a mom and pop shop, to say the least. So I went in, and but I didn't get there 10 minutes early. I got like 4 minutes early. And so I saw Donna. She's like, "Oh, she didn't have time to show me around, but she said, go in here." And I sat in a little room, and there was maybe, like I said, 8 or 9 people that were already there. No, not even that many, maybe 6 or 7. And then it got to 6 o'clock, and they're about to start. And then somebody came in a little late. I'm like, "All right, let's get started." And it was, it was basically what I used to do as a sales manager. Now, when I worked with Cutco Cutlery and Vector Marketing, it was really what we did is the exact same thing. We'd have a vague ad, because it was sales, and people will get scared of sales. but it was just like, $15, $20 base appointment. It wasn't per hour, it was per appointment, but that's always the thing. And, work on your own flexible schedules, will train, great experience, blah, blah, blah. That was it. No explaining the knives or any of that kind of stuff, because we couldn't put an ad out that said, hey, come sell knives in people's houses on commission. People would be like, no, right? That would, we would get nobody to come in the door. So, so we put out the vague ad, people would show up for the interview, and then I'd screen them, and then we'd run a group interview, usually about 7 or 8 people. And for an hour and a half, I would talk about how great the company was, and then show them the products, and we cut a penny in half, and we go through, how you get started with friends and family, and we train you, and how the pay works. You get this, you get this no matter what, but there's a base pay, but it's base or commission, and the commission is so much higher than the base, but at least you have some security. But you can make so much more. Give some examples of the money you can make, and advancement, and the trips, and basically it was doing a group sale, really, is what you were doing. You're trying to recruit people. And when I first started doing that job, I didn't want to become a manager, because I was like, because then what you do is you take a person back one-on-one, your sharp ones first, and you ask them questions, and you make them feel like they were special, and then you would offer them the job, right? And I thought, and you make everyone, because like, if people feel special, then they're going to show up. But really, we would offer everybody the job. Anybody who wanted the job could get the job, right? As long as you wanted to do it, because the job, and this is the point. So some people will look at this and go, oh, this is, but they're recruiting. We're recruiting salespeople. The more salespeople we have, the more people we saw, the more people you saw, the more like you have sales, the more sales you had, the more money everyone made, right? So, but the psychology of people they needed to work for it. So, so this is very mirroring of what I just went through. But the thing was, the job was really hard. I mean, it just is. I didn't accept that because I did well in it. So, to me, I'm like, it wasn't really that hard, but it is hard. It's sales, and it's constant. And, it's like every Monday you start over, and you got to go with friends and family. You got to learn how to call people. You got to learn how to ask for the order. You got to learn how to present yourself properly. You got to get referrals. You got to set up more appointments. And, it wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy job. And so that's why we didn't mind offering the job to everybody, because the job was going to weed out it's going to weed out the people. If you didn't do the work, if you didn't do the training, if you didn't go through training, there was no skin off my back. It wasn't, if you didn't actually go do appointments or make phone calls, then you didn't get paid, right? So that's kind of how Vector was. And by the way, the people, some of the best people in that business, because of that dynamic, were like my manager was a Harvard grad, right? People, I think the regional manager, Mr. Kelly, Earl, was graduated from UPenn Wharton's business school. It's like, because it was a fertile ground, and you just, if you worked your butt off, then you would do really well, and if you didn't, you didn't, right? So that only reason I'm explaining all that is because that is what I just went through, right? So after they put me in the room, the guy came in, it was 6 o'clock at night. And I just now, literally just as I said, at 6 o'clock at night, I just remembered that's when I had my interviews. Late at night, 5:30, 6 o'clock was when I did my group interviews at the end of the day. So it makes sense. So we had, so I was in the group interview, right? And it was an hour and a half. It was like 2 hours. Same thing that I used to do. And it was basically him selling, just like I used to sell what the Vector marketing job was. It was just him selling life insurance, or not life insurance. Let me rephrase. The position, life insurance, health insurance, like financial planning, right? Financial advising. And now as he's going through his thing, and he was, he had good energy. The people that were there was a couple of people, another person came late. So one person came a little bit late. Then right before he got started, a woman came with her 2 kids, right? And I remember this now thinking back as someone who used to do recruiting. do the same exact thing. Um, it's like, what are the kids going to do? They're like 8 and 10. What are they going to do for 2 hours while I talk? Are they going to come in and interrupt? Are they going to be annoying? Is she going to have to keep running out? And so, whatever, eventually, so I could see his face. He was like, oh, it's like, no, he literally was like, no. And then she was like, then I guess whoever invited her to come kind of convinced them. And so she came and sat there, and the kids actually weren't that bad. They weren't bad at all. They just sat in the other room. And, nowadays they have games. 2 hours is nothing to kids these days with the phones and the iPads. So he's going through spiel. Then about 15 minutes in, maybe 20, somebody comes in. They come in, and I'm sitting there. There's like a couple, maybe 20-year-old, 20-ish people, 20-year-old-ish people, maybe a 30-year-old, and was an older gentleman who was like my age. And then the woman, she might be in her 30s. And then a guy comes in. He's got on a red backpack, like strapped like a backpack, right? His collar is like all the way up, like this. Right? He's not wearing this shirt. He's wearing a button-down shirt, but it's top button's done. He's got a tie on, right? So it's like this, but he's got the tie on, but the tie goes to it's a knot here, and his shirt is like up like this, and he walks in with the backpack, and he's like, hey, I'm sorry, I was a little late, blah blah blah, but I'm here, and the recruiters are like, just grab a seat, and I'm just feeling for the guy because I remember these people, right? And so he sits in the back, and not only is he, and then as things are going on, he's like mumbling stuff, not loud, but just talking to himself. Not a lot, but just enough, just enough to people were like, what? Like only one time the presenter was like, recruiter was like, huh? And the guy was like, oh no, I'm just talking to myself. I'm just making comment, talking to myself. So he wasn't being negative. I'm sure he would have kicked him out. I remember kicking people out of my interview. So whatever. So it was literally a Cutco recruiting quote unquote interview, right? And so, but here's the thing: I went through that already, and I did very well with Cutco. I wasn't the best salesperson. I wasn't the best manager, but I was in the top. I was above average, right? I know I was above average because I was there for so long, right? So if I wasn't above average, I wouldn't have been there anymore. So, and I was there for quite some time. So I look at that and I look at this and I go, yeah, look, I can do this. I like talking to people about finance. I like financial planning. And so, yeah. So the commission, so by the way, the thing was 2 hours. I thought I was going to learn about like how I get paid and everything. And he spent an hour and 40 minutes talking about, and by the way, I'm saying this like it's almost like bad or not, but it wasn't bad at all. It was just, he was explaining everything. And then in the last 10, 15 minutes, he explained the pay, but he didn't really explain it. He was just like, you got to get 2 customers a week. Here's our expectations, 2 customers a week. If you have 2 customers a week or 2 clients, not customers, you have 100 clients by the end of the year, in a year. If that should give you around $200,000 of billable or money that you're managing, right? And you make 50,000, you would make $100,000 on that, like 50%. That was basically it. And then you went through. Now the first year you have these bonuses. You have to get your license, and then he got like serious. He's like, look, if you're not going to get good at taking tests, because there's licenses you have to get your health and life insurance license, and you have to get your either Series 6 or Series 7, which is your license to sell securities. And he's like, but most people will get their 6. They get the 6. You can't sell certain things. You can sell other things, but it's only a 2-hour test that you have to pass for that. If you want to get your Series 7, you can sell options and other stuff. I'm still learning all this stuff. But that's a 6-hour test. And a lot of people, you can go for that, but you can wait until you get moving, and you don't need that at first. You can get that later on. And then he's like, yeah, and then you get your first year, you get like $39,000 on like training money while you're training, and we have classrooms, and we have this, and we have that. We're going to train you and teach you how to do this, and then you have a $3,000 signing bonus if, as long as you bill this much or have this much under management by the end of the year. I think it was like you said 60,000 instead of 200,000. Whatever, it was 60,000. I think was the number. Um, and then he's like, every year you make residual on your past stuff. So, but he went through it like he wasn't avoiding it, but he just went through it quickly, right? He was like, you can be making this much and making that much, and through some big numbers. And it basically boils down to you got to work your butt off, right? You got to find your own customers. At least they were there up front. Like, you got to find your own customers. You're gonna go into your niches. We're gonna teach you how to do it, but that's what you're gonna have to do. So this is all things I've done before. I've done it in Cutco. I started with people I knew and got referrals. I did it with solar. Yes, solar kind of gave you referral people, but at first, but I didn't like those people, and I worked mostly off of referrals. And I'll do it again. And the thing is, the people I sold Cutco to and the people I sold solar to, I won't sell anything unless I believe in it. We still have the knives in our house. I literally cut myself. Look. I don't know if you could see. Maybe. Where is it? Right there. I'm healing. From my Cutco knife wound. There it is. So I'm still healing from one of my Cutco wounds. So my knives are still sharp. Sold those back to my parents back in 1997. Yeah. So those knives are still sharp. So those are great products. We still have them. Solar, I have it on my mom's house. I would have it on my sister's house. She didn't want it. But Mr. Marchand, Nick out there, and the Marchands, they still have it. Like, I have customers that have it, and I believed in what I do and what I sell, and this financial planning thing, I believe in it too. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to learn the stuff. I'm going to be making videos explaining it. But the reality is, what I'll wrap up here with is it's a sales position, right? You're selling, and you're really helping people. It's a good thing. And you have to be able to understand that. Like, it's nothing bad about selling people stuff, especially if it's things that are going to help them. And it's insurance sales, but it's financial planning, and that's what it is. So just be prepared. Just understand that, you have to convince people. You have to sit down with them. I'm going to have to do consultations, but it's in-home consultations. I love doing that. I like driving around. I like meeting with people. I like hearing people's story. I like being an expert. I'm going to study my butt off so I know as much as I possibly can, because that's how I sell, knowing as much. And, I was just telling my mom, I was like, I remember Rick Castro told me something. He's like, to be an expert at something doesn't mean you need to know everything about that thing. You just need to know more than the person you're talking to. And I realize that because people look at just the videos I do, just talking about my investment, or how I research Tesla stock and how I look into that company, and they just assume I'm an expert in all things financial. I'm like, I'm not. And I make videos telling people I'm not. I refuse to. People in the comments, can you help me? And I'm like, no. So I said, you know what? Why don't I actually become a financial advisor? Instead of telling people I can't help you because I'm not a financial advisor, let me just become a financial advisor. So that's what I'm about to do. I figured I'd make this video. It's gone much longer than I thought it would. But I'll make more of them. And but I've made my names list. I have 130 people that I wrote down that I want to. I just started with writing down every person that I possibly could think of. As you get older, I remember when I first did this exercise, it was like 600. But as you get older, you forget people, and people kind of slip away. But I'll be expanding my names list, and I've already had 3 people who I know are going to be clients right off the bat, and that's not including my mom or Nick. So, yeah. So I think if you're watching this, what you should know is that, if you want to get into financial advising, just understand it is It is a sales job. And but the cool thing and from what I know so far, is it's not like people are going to pay you up front. It's not like when I sold knives, people had to give me a credit card. It's let me make you a financial plan. Let me explain my knowledge on how you can use insurance, how you can use, whether it's life insurance or disability insurance to protect you and your family, or life, as far as taking care of. Actually, I'll make my next video about the SAVE technique or the SAVE idea of financial planning. But they're going to make payments, and there's a fee involved with it, and I get paid off the fee. So as long as you're getting covered, but I'm just making a percentage of that. So you're not paying me up front, but you're paying me I get paid based upon the policies and selling the policies. And so that's what financial planning is. Now, am I going to personally? I'm going to learn what I need to learn, but I'm going to throw in my rich dad, poor dad stuff, and I'm going to give people a great education, which is what I love doing. I like helping people and educating them, and making those concepts better. And so I'm not just going to be selling them something and be gone, but I really want to help people fully understand how to budget, how to manage their money, how to protect their money, and how to build their money. And so I'm going to turn the camera off and I'm going to learn it right now. So so this is day one of becoming a financial advisor. I got to get fingerprinted. And I got to do a drug test. So I'll do that this week as well. All right. Till next time.